Hi, welcome to our first video on values and spiritual gifts. Throughout this series, we are going to define values, identify some of our personal values, or at least begin that process for ourselves. Look at what is a spiritual gifts or gifts that we may have, and how values and spiritual gifts influence our identity. Every session, we're going to look at Matthew 6:22, which states, "The eye is the lamp of the body. So if your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light." We are going to be looking at values and spiritual gifts through a lens of self-awareness. And as we gain this aspect of our self-awareness, really understanding our values and our giftings, I do believe it's the way that you get healthier and the way you see the world and interact in the world changes. And so therefore, it can be an opportunity for your whole body to be more full of light. As a reminder, self-awareness is the ability to recognize one's own emotions, thoughts, and values and how they influence our behavior. So we are going to really start digging into the values piece of this first. Values are deep-seated beliefs and principles that guide our thoughts, actions, and behaviors. They help shape decisions and morals. And so remember, we've looked a lot about the connection between emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. And so actions are, or values, part of what can also drive these and how we determine when some things are out of a line or don't feel quite right in our lives. And so personal values are important because they are a part of us, consciously or unconsciously. They live in our subconscious, that biggest part of our brain that we don't think about being there unless we bring it into the intentional mind. And so they're there. Whether we admit them or not, they're there. They highlight what we stand for. So values directly or indirectly influence decisions, choices, thoughts, actions, relationships. They also guide our personal code of conduct, what we do daily, big decisions, little decisions, that process. And when we honor our core values, the personal values that we have consistently, we experience fulfillment in our lives. It feels better. When we don't honor those values, we feel unaligned. Our sense of self and relationships suffer. It's this place we call dissonance, where our beliefs and our morals don't align with our actions and what we're doing. And so those core values are there. And when we're able to identify them, own them, and act on them, we are much better in knowing who we are and having healthier relationships. So what forms these values, especially if we're not aware of them? Well, our upbringing and life experiences, the way that we have interacted with people, things that may have been directly told to us or that we just witnessed, or sometimes they're unspoken values, people that we respect or honor or that just have influence in our lives, we sometimes pick their values up. So friends and people around you form your values. Children often adopt value systems from their parents. So whatever you see in your household, it doesn't have to be your parents, but really whoever raised you, often you adapt into those values. And so they just become part of what you believe because that's what you saw from the people around you. Community and culture influence values, especially now that we have social media and so much access to different people, different cultures, what's important, what should be important. Those things, everything that we take in can influence our values. Geographic location and sociodemographics. So where you live, the part of town that you're in, the part of the country that you're in, the part of the world that you're in, those can all influence your values. And then spiritual beliefs. As you grow spiritually, they can influence your values. So, as a self reflection, as we wrap this up, I want you to think about your upbringing. So, when you think about your upbringing, what messages can you remember being passed on to you directly or indirectly about what is important? I would encourage you to write this down, whether you do that right now or start thinking about it. But try to write down at least 5 different messages that you received in your upbringing. And so when I say they were directly said to you, it might be things that you were told are important, or it might be things that you just learned from observing. So this could be things like, was education really important? Or family, you stick by family. Blood is thicker than water, those types of things. Was work, just work hard. Money, was faith or respect. Maybe helping people and serving, was discipline, being self disciplined and really having a lot of discipline around you, or was following instructions, like you just obey, no questions asked. Those are a few examples. There's a lot that it could be. But when you think about your personal upbringing, what messages can you remember being passed on to you? When you're done, that's it. Have a great day.